Good morning, Australia, and good evening, North America. Dan Vaughn with you. Paul Morgan, he's standing the wings, ready to go. It's Talking Baseball Australia Live. Baseball's best mate coming to you in 3, 2, 1. Here at the construction in Kansas City. Let's roll it.
It's Talking Baseball Australia. It's baseball updates you'll really love. The MLB and ABL news you want. With Paul Morgan and Dan Vaughn. It's baseball's best mate all year round. From the batter's box to the mound.
And with that, there he is in the middle of the screen. Actually, now he's on the right of the screen there, the legendary Paul Morgan. Good morning to you, mate. You okay? You a little tired? Did you stay up watch the Blue Jays? Stay up watch the Blue Jays? What happened, mate? You look a little tired. You okay?
No. Just too much going on, DV. Just baseball and everything else in between. But it's always good to be up early on a Friday, and the weather's changed as well over here. And the sun's not getting out till a bit later now, and it's a little bit of even those blue skies this morning, a little bit of rain around in the west as well. So it's been sleeping weather, DV, but nonetheless, I love it. I can hear the lovely sounds of a construction site going on at a ballpark.
Yes, I'm actually at Legends Field in Kansas City. I'm going to give you a shot of what we've got going on here in just a moment. We're at Legends Field in Kansas City, home of the Kansas City Monarchs. Let me mute this down. I'm going to give you guys a shot. You really can't see what they're doing, but I'm going to give you guys a shot of the ballpark anyway. What a beautiful day it is here in Metro KC. Turned out to be. You can see the shadows there. I'm going to bring this in for you guys and put it on the screen so you'll be able to see that. But there we go. Beautiful day at the ballpark. There you go. How about that green grass part? It almost looks Perth-esque.
Well, it does. Well, of course, it got covered by that layer of snow last week or the week before, so plenty of water on the field. So it's almost time for baseball in Kansas, but exciting season coming up nonetheless, and exciting week well, not necessarily exciting week, but an interesting week in baseball in the ABL as well, DV, as the headlines keep on coming.
Yes, they do. It's been a busy week. Where do we start? I mean, this is the lineup card that I'm going to bring you. I'll give you guys more of the Kansas City scene here in a few minutes, but my run sheet, I got to pull that up, right? Let's check out the run sheet. You want to help me out with that? There we go.
Wow, it changes at the top in New South Wales as the first
time. There we go. Yeah. There we go. There's my run sheet there. I mean, what you missed yesterday was over in across the way at the Legends Mall. I was doing the Kansas City Monarchs live, and during the middle of my show, the script just disappeared. It was across the way. So I was like, I'm gonna do a little, but yes, changes into the top of New South Wales. We're going to talk about that. I teased this a bit on Twitter this week. You and I have talked about this, the weakest link theory that we really need to go through, and you and I both have a pretty hot sports opinion on that as well. MLB update. I found some fun stuff. I don't know why we didn't go through this, but I found some fun Lee and Hendrick stuff that I just didn't see until this week. I don't know why. And then we've also going to discuss books, your questions and comments.
Yep.
Is that what we got today?
That's what we've got. We've got.
All right. Okay. I didn't know if we had any guests.
Well, hopefully,
does that work?
Guests coming on as well. Hopefully.
Okay. So you want to tease that? Okay. I'm sorry. You and I aren't on the same page. That's why we don't. No. That's why we have production meetings, and you and I blew it off. So
we're not even in the same country, so we're all good. But hopefully later today we'll get the new owners of the Canberra Cavalry on as well, which will be Brendan Major and Ilya as well, which will be great. And hopefully that'll all work out shortly. But nonetheless, as you said, DV, it's changes at the top. The news this week of Adam Dobb not renewing his license for the Sydney Blue Sox, which doesn't really come to a huge surprise for a lot of people within the baseball circles. But Adam has been nothing but a champion of this show as well, and a champion for both of us. And he'll definitely be missed in that Blue Sox organization. And just had such rough luck. Not certainly for that Manny Ramirez situation, which didn't work out as well as he did. Of course, COVID-19, which affected all teams. But he's been a great friend of the show, Adam Dobb, and
Yeah,
Very
let's
passionate
let's just
baseball
start
guy.
with that. Let's start with that right there because I think that is the headline. Although last night Bryce Harper getting hit, Didi Gregorius getting hit as well. We'll get to that in a few minutes from the MLB side of things, but I think that's the headline. I mean, Adam Dobb. I mean, he really, really did all he could do. And I talked about this. You talked about this. We were so concerned about this that this is one of those chips that probably is coming due because of the situation this year. I'm convinced that if the Blue Sox play a full schedule at home, a full normal schedule without the expenses, this is probably not happening. I'm just convinced of that. And maybe maybe I'm wrong about that, but I really do believe that that's the case because and we've talked about this. It was a heck of a year. I mean, I had a great conversation recently with the guys in Perth. We were talking. I mean, even in the best of years, you make a little bit of money, but this year, even just to break even was a stretch. And most of these teams, all of them, took a big bath. And I think that's where you start, partner. I mean, I feel for him. And I mean, he's a passionate guy. He will be missed.
Absolutely, and I think that's and that's what's I guess so encouraging about the guys who've taken over at Canberra as well. I mean, Adam had gone from being involved with the Blue Sox. He was the first, and remember the first license that was sold in the ABL was the Sydney Blue Sox. Adam Dobb was the first official owner of a team back. What was that, mate? 2 or 3 years ago. He was the first one to sign on to own a team. Yeah, and look, it was just hard luck. It was just really, as I said, things looked good for the Blue Sox as they had that big Manny Ramirez signing. Things looked really positive out in Rudy Hill, but it didn't end up sort of working out that way. But as you and I have talked so many times, DV, like any sport, having it's Sydney is the New York of Australia, so to speak. I mean, if your franchise is not firing there, we're in your media capital of Australia. Like it's hard it's such an important and critical franchise, and I'll be interested to see who takes over, DV.
Yeah, it has to be strong. Has to be strong there. And you and I said it over and over again. I mean, not that it doesn't matter that other teams are strong, but it has to be strong there. And I mean, just there's no doubt about it. Use the New York comparison. You want it. Use the Premier League if you want to. You want strong teams in Metro London. I mean, you got to what your population base is. But I'm also going to throw this out there, and you and I have talked about this too. It's the weak league theory. And I mentioned this because this came from St. Paul when they were in the American Association, and they were drawing 8,000 folks. But they used to tell me, and their broadcaster and their front office would say, we're only as strong as our weakest link in the entire organization, in the entire league. So even though they were drawing 8,000, they wanted that team, the small market team, I don't know, a Cleveland or a Sioux City, to also draw to their potential. And if they were all drawn to the potential, 8,000 here, whether it be 1,000 here, your league's going to be stronger. So you're only as strong as your weakest link. And that's why you and I keep saying you've got to have strong franchise license holders, whatever to call them, across the board in the ABL. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago. We were talking about the Auckland situation. The Canberra situation apparently has been addressed. You've got to have strong license holders, owners, champions of the game in each market. If Perth's doing great, if Brisbane's doing great, but Sydney and Canberra aren't, that chain breaks. Yep. And so you've got to have a strong franchise. It's not about wins and losses. It's about promotions. It's about the product in the ballpark, not so much on the field, but in the ballpark. And the league also has a big part of this, too. The league must be a champion of the game. The league also must ensure that all these franchises have equal footing and all the things need to have footing. And from a national perspective, you need all these franchises at every location, whether it be a small market, Canberra, or the big market, Sydney. They all must be strong. And if they're not, the league's a disaster.
Totally. Hit the nail on the head, DV. And it's just, and as Scott says in the comments as well, Adam just is such a great guy, and it was so great to our show as well. So it's unfortunate that it didn't work out, but I think he got it. I think he's really taken that franchise forward. I mean, when you've got to rewind the clock back to Sydney 3 years ago before Adam Dobb came in. I mean, that franchise was borderline a basket case 3 years ago, and I think Adam really brought the fans back to the stands, brought a lot of excitement, brought a lot of atmosphere. So he's taken that Sydney Blue Sox franchise from what I thought was probably the worst franchise in the country to really and we saw there was good fan numbers with Dobb, but he did a heck of a job, and it's just I think he set it up perfectly for whoever comes on next.
Yeah, and that's probably the thing. Whoever the next person is, whoever steps in there, is inheriting a pretty good situation. Yeah, there's some potholes there, but you're inheriting a pretty good situation. And it's one of those. The story. You replace the coach with a new coach, but the players stay the same, and the team sort of gets the message all of a sudden. It's kind of that same theory to a degree, but here's a situation where. Adam tried, and he made the strides. He was making the efforts. He was doing the things he had to do. He was trying to make a splash. And there's no doubt they were as big of a splash without even playing a game this year. No one else in the league has made that kind of splash over the course of, you and I have been involved in this thing for 8-9 years, and no one's done what they've done making a splash overall. And it's unfortunate. And you got to ask yourself, if they play baseball this year, things are different. But I'll tell you, I tip my cap because the man tried. He tried. You can't tell me that, he didn't try, because heck yeah, he tried. He tried to make a splash, and he helped the league. The league got publicity that they normally don't get in places like Boston, New York, Texas, and California. So anyway, my soapbox is there. But I hate to see him go. And that's really the big. That was really the big news. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
That wasn't, but no, you're spot on, DV. And it would be. Again, we'll watch this space next week or two. We'll should the ABL have come out, or the Baseball Australia have come out and said the next week or two they'll address the situation. The Blue Sox were active on social media saying that, by all accounts, it sounds like there's a new licensee who either has signed on or is about to sign on. So it sounds like that news is not far away.
Yeah, we've heard that. You and I have heard this going back for a few weeks, that there's been some talk that there may be, some folks joining the masses there as well. I do know this, and you and I have talked about this a little bit on our broadcast before. What you do want to see happen there is the political side of things with baseball in New South Wales and the Sydney Blue Sox all come to the table and be one big happy family. Yep. It is a challenge in a lot of the states. And you and I both know this. It's a challenge, even in the best of times, to have the state bodies and the ball clubs come to an agreement to all work together for the betterment of the game. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge in any sport. But we've heard.
Who knows, DV? They might the new team might move to that lovely wood chopping facility there.
I love that place.
Park, as you were so impressed by it.
Yeah, I and that's another thing. And that's a whole different can of worms. But I'll just going to the Olympic Park there, where you and I did a year ago. I'm like, why aren't they playing ball here? Why are they not playing a third of the way back toward the CBD? Why are they playing? Nothing against Western Sydney, but why are they not playing back that direction? But oh well, what do I? As my guess is, the North American-based fans who are going to be that direction. I'm guessing. I would think if you got expats are going to live that direction, they're not going to live. But anyway, that's I digress. But that's the other one.
So pull the curtain back. So just before the world took a radical turn to the left, DV and I were in Sydney after the Heat Cavs series and that final. We spent some time at Olympic Park, and we really we looked at where the Greater Western Sydney Giants play, where the Olympic Stadium is, where the wood chopping facility is. And we thought, boy, this would be a great little place for baseball. But we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you updated. But you were talking Bryce Harper before, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to get that to you. I was actually loading that in. Now, how do you get a franchise with Cub loyalty in good and bad years? It's a cultural thing, I think. Each team has its own culture in any sport. I really believe that. Winning and losing cultures are contagious. There are places in sport where there's a culture there, and win or lose, people show up, and the Cubs are a great example. Even the Dodgers have not been real good until recently, but there was a time people still showed up. Dodger Stadium. I remember going out there in the 90s when they weren't very good, but it was still a place to go. There's a winning culture, and it's not so much a winning culture. It's a culture of the fan base. And I think that all starts generations ago. And it's a guy like Bob who shares his love for example, the Railcats, and he passes that on down, that kind of thing. But that's sort of where I'm going with it. But yeah, that to me, and it's not easy. You just don't open the gates and say, "Come on in, folks." I mean, Sydney, we've already seen that. You just can't open the gate. And now we got Brendan's going to join us right now. I'm going to go right to him, partner, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to bring him in. And here we go. We've got the folks. ACT, can you hear it?
Brandon and Ilya, the new
right to you, partner, if you don't mind. Can you guys hear us?
No sound.
Hello. Can you guys hear us on Talking Baseball? We're connecting the dots around the world. Good morning to you, gentlemen. I don't know if they can hear us, partner, but I'm going to move them. There we go. Good morning. Can you guys hear us?
Good morning, guys. How are we going?
Yeah.
Good. I'm Dan Vaughn. This is Paul Morgan. Introduce yourselves. I'm not sure who's who.
Brendan Major.
And Ilya Mastouras. I remember you when you came out here to do a call for Talking Baseball, and I fed you some pretty cool food, and you loved it.
Yes, I did. Yes. The big helmet of food. Yes.
Right.
I've dropped 80 pounds, but you kept me full. We appreciate it. We love coming there. We're glad you guys are here. I'm in Kansas City right now. Paul's in Perth, and you guys are the ACT. We're connecting the dots around the world here on Talking Baseball Australia Live. First off, gentlemen, congratulations to the license holders. You guys are the new license holders of the Canberra Cavalry. Congratulations. Has it sunk in yet that you guys are the top of the heap there?
You look at the reality sunk in pretty quick. It's an amazing thing, and thank you very much for your congratulations. It's an amazing thing to own a team that you love, but pretty quickly the work started, and there's a lot of work to be done to get the team to where we want it to be.
Paul, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, just interesting on, you both have been involved with the team in different areas for a long period of time. Of course, MIT, long-time sponsor, with you, Brendan and Ilya, as you said, you're the master of the food at the ballpark for a long time, and you both love the team. How does it, you've both been successful in your own businesses. How do you come into a franchise that you really love, but treat it like a business at the same time? Is that still a bit of a balance for you guys at the moment, or is it just treat it as if it's any kind of business?
Any business is the same underneath, really. When it just depends what you're selling and what you're. With us, it's just with the cavalry. It's the selling the baseball and the baseball experience and the game day experience. Because when you look at one of these franchises, not just about the baseball, it's about the entire experience of turning up to the ballpark and how amazing it is and all of those sort of things, which as a major sponsor is the reason I got involved in the first place. And then to own the franchise after that is exceptional. It's an amazing feeling, but my business head still has to kick in first and go, okay, here's the business. This is what we need to do. And this is how it needs to be run. And it just happens that it's doing something you love.
I think on top of that too, I've got an ethnic background. My sporting background was playing football, the round ball soccer game as a kid.
Yep.
And came to this pretty much just from a business perspective as well. Fell in love with the sport, fell in love with the team. It's a great league, it's a great community, but I can't tell you the difference between a splitter and a curve. So what we've done is we're going to surround ourselves with some really, really quality baseball people, and they're obviously going to have a passion not just for the sport but for the franchise, the organisation, and they're going to help us see what we hope to see success come to the team, hopefully sooner rather than later as well.
Paul and I have been there multiple times. We love going there. We think personally that the show we've seen over the years in the stands is the best. I mean, the entertainment value, your fans, and you guys are right on there. Are the plans to continue to make that the place to be? Because I really believe it is the best atmosphere in the league. Is that the plan, to keep that rolling, that same atmosphere you guys have been pulling off over the years?
Absolutely. This is exactly what we're looking to do. Is not only continue, but actually you make it better. We've got some exceptional resources behind us already that specialize in the game day stuff. And yeah, that's our goal, is to make coming to the baseball the most amazing experience people have ever had.
For us, we've got a lot of, like you said, a lot of the things that make baseball great and enjoyable, especially for an Australian audience that a lot of people are new to the game. We've got a great call team that sit up in the booth. We've got a really great bunch of volunteers. We've got the voice of baseball on the diamond, Matt Percy, who's probably the greatest ground announcer in the ABL. And he said that he's going to come back and do absolute wonders for us again. It's that passion that I think is visible in Canberra. We're really lucky to have a small community. It does hamstring us a little bit at times when it comes to wanting to build up and have as many local players on the roster. But what it does do, conversely, is it brings everyone really close together, and everyone wants to chip in to see, obviously the cavalry and the baseball in general grow amongst our community here in Canberra.
Yeah, just on obviously last season, kind of there was pretty public in the end that there was sort of a breakdown between players and the team and different things. And also, I guess, you've had so many key people involved in that franchise for a long period of time. For you guys, is the first port of call reconnect with those people who have been involved in the franchise for a long period of time, sort of, smooth those, get them back involved in the cavalry, those good people. And secondly, sort of, we saw Steve Kent was probably the most vocal and really passionate about you guys getting involved with the team. I mean, is it pretty much that, the past is the past, so you guys just have to, it just more than anything, it just seems like there's so much goodwill about you guys from the local Canberra people. So was that sort of the first port of call, just reconnecting with that community again?
Well, we were lucky enough that we didn't need to reconnect. We have a lot of support, as we've seen, and I was really appreciative of when it was first announced, the amount of Facebook love that we received from all the fans and the game day people, the support sponsors. Everybody has just jumped in behind us, and it's an amazing feeling to have that amount of support suddenly appear behind you. And this is not just current people involved in the cavalry, but people who haven't been at the game or at the ballpark for 5 years ago, and we're coming back. This is fantastic. This is an amazing idea, and it really is nice to have that sort of support. But the main thing we're looking at is the move forward and how we make that game day better.
I think our fan base are an indication of what we as a franchise represent. The names at the top of the page can change, and the Canberra Cavalry can transcend that sort of stuff. The passion from obviously players that are current, and in Steve Kent's, recently retired as well, and a lot of the fans, a lot of the sponsors, people just saying, look, we're happy that there's a Canberra Cavalry. We're happy that it's still going around. We'll do whatever we can to support you guys. And that for us is, that's worth its weight in gold.
The show's Talking Baseball Australia Live. Baseball's best mate, Dan Vaughn, Paul Morgan with you, and the new license holders of those Canberras. Good to have them on, and Brendan Major and Ilya Mastouris. And I said that right? Did I say that right? I mean, I'm kind of a Texan here, so I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but I'll make sure I get it right. But these two gentlemen, did I nail it or not?
No, you got it. You nailed it.
All right, nailed it. That's what us brought. Oops, sorry, Paul. I just dropped Paul there. He just dropped off. Also, just us three right now. Paul will be back with us in a moment. What was it? What really attracted you guys to this? I mean, obviously you've both been involved there, but what really had you jump the gun and say, we got to get this. We got to be partners and get this. What really pushed you guys over the top there?
For us, I think it's understanding that the Canberra Cavalry franchise, as opposed to all the other franchises in baseball in Australia, is probably a different proposition. We're both born and bred Canberra guys. We both love our town. We're both passionate about local sport when it comes to the rugby league. We're both Raiders fans. When it comes to the rugby union, we're both Brumbies fans. Having that opportunity to be involved with something that is so integral in the community over the summer months, for us it was too good to be true. It's not like, other sports that will bring a team here for a week or 2 weeks over a season. Canberra's just a bit of a, tick a box exercise for some of those guys. we're one of those guys that we're born and bred. We're dyed in the wool Canberra guys. Our team is a Canberra team, and we wanted to be a part of that wider community and make sure that the delivery of that continued, and it was as successful as it could be. Sorry.
Paulie, I'm sorry, bud. I got you back, Paul. You're back.
Look, yeah, you've got me back after dumping me, but that's all right. But no, look, I'm just really excited about, as Dan said also, I mean, I think it's clear. We went, a couple of years just doing road radio, went to all teams, and it was pretty clear pretty quickly that, the Canberra atmosphere and the general vibe and small things that are not necessarily done when there was, the deal with Ben Spoke Brewery where you had your own sort of beer going on the side. There was just clearly there was just a huge difference in my mind in the cavalry compared to everything else. But Canberra is such a a unique place as well in terms of it is the capital of Australia, and there are people who are diehard, obviously Canberra people there, and a lot of people who leave on the weekend as well. But how much of that place you benefit as well being in Canberra? I mean, there's not a T20 cricket team there. There's not. I mean, when summer rolls around, I mean, you guys. Canberra by far gets the biggest share of the press of any other ABL team. I mean, it really does seem to be Canberra's team though, and is that sort of that's obviously the vibe that you continuing to go with, because you can. I mean, I suppose for want of a better word, you guys are in the position to own summer in Canberra.
Well, the big one here is it's pretty simple, really. The Cavalry is the best team in the ABL, and that's why we love it. And it happens that it's our home team, and that's fantastic. We have some other little things, and Canberra has a few benefits, like the ballpark itself is 20 minutes from anywhere in Canberra.
Yep.
You don't have to drive all the way out to an outer suburb to watch the baseball, and that's a massive advantage for us. And as you said, not having the Big Bash or anything like that locally to compete. I think we get one weekend where the Big Bash clashes with us here. Other than that, we are the summer sport here in Canberra.
Yeah, I think as well, Canberra's starting to develop a bit of a reputation as becoming a bit more of a developed city. For a long time, Canberra was a bit of a country town feel, but we've got the city starting to grow. A lot more people are starting to choose to move to Canberra, and over summer, a little bit of fresh air. And as far as exposure to sports goes, the Canberra Times are very good backers of ours. Our local media do get on board with us quite well. It does give us a bit of an advantage not having to compete against an A-League or against a Big Bash, but that doesn't mean that we've got every right to just rest on our laurels. We've got to keep working. We've got to keep getting the name out in the community, and that's got to be a 12-month job to make sure that Canberra does embrace us and knows that we're there 24/7.
Dan Vaughn, Paul Morgan, and the new licensees there in Canberra. A couple quick things to wrap this thing up. I got one fun one, but we have a theory, and we believe this 100%. It's this weakest link theory. And we really believe at Talking Baseball Australia, just in general, as in my work in the American Association of the States, that we're only as strong in the ABL as our weakest link. All of our franchises must be strong. They've all got to be strong. So with that being said, what is it that you two want to bring improvement-wise to Canberra? What's one of those things you got to say, or you said, man, we've got to improve this to get us, keep our strong link?
Well, a big one for us is Baseball Canberra. So the local league, we see a heavy focus on growing the game here in the ACT, purely because it gives us better local talent when it comes to putting a cavalry team together. And that might take 5 or 10 years to see a full team of ACT players, but that's something we're willing to work towards and invest in, is to see that local talent grow.
Yeah. Look, and I think for us, getting in and investing in our facilities and making sure that we're trying to be as ABL leading as possible as far as our facilities go, training facilities for our players, and attracting some of the best international talent to come and augment that rising crop of Canberra stars.
Paulie, what else you got, bud? I got one more for you.
My last one is I loved when they did the throwback jersey to the Bushrangers a couple of years. I mean, is there still a thought that the Bushrangers are said and gone, or is there a possibility as well to sort of keep that the Bushrangers kit alive at least once a year?
if I may add, we're not gonna come out and give you too many exclusives today. The one exclusive I can give you is that we're announcing today that we've re-signed Mac and Cheese Balls. They'll be back at the ballpark when you guys come out. Okay.
Oh, that's probably the best news we've had here in a long period of time. Add a couple of helmets in there as well, and some maybe a new line of we're excited, Ilya. We're excited about that ballpark food. I mean, we're expecting that to be at the top of the game by a mile.
And that was what I was going to close. That's what I was going to close with, Ilya. I remember you bringing me a big helmet of, I believe it was chicken and waffles.
Yeah.
And you brought it to me, and I'm on the air, and I'm like, this is great. I was like, I didn't care. I had syrup on my score sheet. I didn't care. I was a fat kid just living the dream. So thank you. So chicken and waffles are going to be around, I hope. Or
absolutely, we want you to think that you're sitting in your office there, and you're just walking down the road to a local ballpark in small town USA, but you're actually in Narrabundah, Canberra, watching the best team in the ABL.
And that's a really good point. I want to echo that. Paul, I don't know if you heard that, but what he just said about small town ballpark in the USA.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is what I've said so many times as we close here, that when I walk in there, only reason I know that I'm in Australia is when I hear the anthem or the accent. But in general, the smells, the sights, the feeling. I could be in a rookie league park or a Class A park or a AA or AAA park, and I wouldn't even. You guys do that kind of job, so you keep doing that and keep our guts full too. Okay.
Will do.
Appreciate you guys for
your
joining.
Time, best of luck with the adventure. We're looking forward to seeing what the Cavs will do.
Thanks guys.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate it. There we go. That is the new licensees there in Canberra, Ilya Mastoris and Brendan Major. I like those guys. And now that I realize, it's funny because now that I realize who was who, I've actually met them both, but now I realize Ilya had kept our guts full in Canberra all those times. And I remember reading about his background. I'm going, because I saw the suit look, and I'm thinking, now that I realize he's the guy that probably the best ballpark food in the league.
Yeah, I agree. And look, if anyone is going for a road trip this year, I mean, I thoroughly recommend Canberra as a place to go on a road trip. Some great people there at the Cavalry course. Our good mate Chris Coleman, who helped us put together this interview as well, helped to get that together. So really appreciate Chris. Was up there in the booth as well, but they do some great food. We said it time and time again. I mean, that Canberra are just such a benchmark in the ABL for fan entertainment. Like last couple of times we've been there, we've been really blown away by the show and
the
as other teams sort of get there as well. And they change. I mean, obviously it's from the clubs. But they've got their whole. You remember the whole "Go Cavs, go Cavs, go!"
Oh yeah.
Hey Canberra, what do you say?
Canberra, what do you say? The Cavs are going to win today.
Today. Dunny was happy with that one. So.
Yeah, Dunny, you love that one. Let me give a couple of things here. Scott saying Giants play the old Sydney Baseball Stadium. It's so sad to see it used for AFL cricket, not baseball. We talked about that, I believe, earlier, but. Bob asked this question too. What kind of advertising promotion do you believe would be successful in getting the word out, the games in the league? Bob, I'm going to give you what happened last year with the Australian Baseball League forming a partnership with the American Association. I believe that partnership could really help because what you need is you need a kind of a big brother to kind of help the league along. And I think the American Association can be that big brother to kind of help the ABL, not just players, but marketing and how to brand the game, how to brand your merchandise, all those things. And I believe places like Kansas City, the Monarchs, can do some things to help. I think you can really, and to me, Bob, I would send, if I'm a license holder, I would send one of my executives or one of my front office folks for a month or so over here to the States and say, look, soak it in. Get all you can get from that bunch because that's what we miss. I think that would be part of it. I think you're going to see some of that. Go ahead.
I think the real, the real essence of it, if you're cooking up the perfect recipe for an ABL team, in my opinion, DV. It's like you've got to, you got to take the right proportion of Americana, sprinkle in the right amount of Australian, and mix it all together and kind of have that, American experience, North American experience through a bit of an Australian lens, but you can't get that balance right. And that is the tricky part.
And that's why you and I, I'm sorry, you and I got together in this venture just like that. When I was brought over to Australia to do the grounds announcing, and you were the MC, that was the idea, to have an Australian MC, a ballpark announcer of the PA guy, being American, and we took that combination, took it to the radio show, to this show, because it does bring unique ability. And I won't, this as well as I do. Only time I'll broadcast by myself, I'll broadcast by myself over there, but I will not broadcast with two other Americans over there, or one more American. I won't do it. I will only broadcast with you and with Kim McGee's Australian, so I mean he's been there long enough. He's an expat. Simon, Jason Hewitt, anybody that I've worked with over there, I will only work with Australians. I don't want to work with 5 Americans because I don't believe the league needs 5 Americans calling games together. That's an example. So I think what you're seeing with our show is the Australian angle and the North American angle, and meeting in the middle for a great cause of the game. So that's just where I'm coming from it. Wendy says definitely visit the States, fine-tune marketing. Yes, again, if I was going to start a cricket league, there is a cricket league here. But let's say I was going to start a franchise in cricket, I'm going to go to a place that plays cricket or whatever the sport may be. And I think that's what I would do. I would have to. I want to learn about it and find out how they market it and all that. So anyway.
And I spoke earlier this week. I think the real opportunity for the ABL is actually partnering up with Major League Rugby, which is the rugby union league that's just started in the States. And there are, there's a team, the Los Angeles team, the Guillotines, I think they're called, have a couple of former really big Australian players playing for them. They play out there in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. But, trying to get rugby into that fabric of America is like trying to get baseball into the fabric of Australia. And I think the two sort of the two countries and the two leagues can kind of learn a lot about each other. And Bob, it's always fun. I think it's always fun to have the I think sometimes some people tuning in listening to Australian broadcast baseball is probably like a good it's a good novelty factor sometimes, DV, and as you say, it works.
And you bring up a good example. My friend Bob Barrett, who lives in Perth, he's from California, but he's lived in Australia now for 25 years, 30 years. He's very involved in gridiron Australia football, American football, but he has that background in officiating at a high level and mentoring the game, and he's able to use that with the Australian point of view as well. And you've got to use both. And I think if you're going to grow a sport, you got to use both. But there's some partnerships out there. I think you're right. You know this as well as I do. We've talked about it before. The Big Bash, when you close your eyes, is a minor league atmosphere. Well, where do you think they got that from? They came over here 10 years ago and watched minor league baseball at these packed houses and basically said, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this from these minor league games. They've done that. So anyway, let's jump to the last night, the big leagues. I want to get this to you real quick. I'm going to play the audio too. I want you guys to hear this. This happened last night in North America it'll been Wednesday night over here. So it'll been, anyway, you know the point. Anyway, and what I want you to see is the reaction of everyone. Let's just go ahead and play this for you right here. This is last night.
Finished that rookie year with a 270. Oh man, hit him right in the face. It deflected into his face.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know if it hit anything. If I thought it hit him right in the face directly. And he hits Didi Gregorius now, and Didi goes down. 97 to Bryce Harper.
This is what's going to suck. They're going to warn both teams now, probably.
There's the warnings.
Yes, of course.
And Joe is not happy about that. So
Yeah,
he's out of the game. Of course, that would happen. He's right, too. Joe threw him out first, and then James Hoy.
Let him voice his opinion. He has every right to. Don't walk.
And that's last night. That's Bryce Harper and Didi Gregorius getting nailed back to back. Now, what I want you to, I hope you guys saw that, and I think you did, but I know Paul did. Last night, again, that was Genesis Cabrera. Did you see his reaction? I mean, the guy was mortified that he hit both of them. First off, Harper in the face, and he by the way, CAT scan negative. He's fine. He was going to miss some time. He's not in the lineup card tonight. Neither one are playing tonight. But the negative return on the MRI and the CAT scan both were positive as of about 2 hours ago. Gregorius is not in the card tonight as well. He got one right in the ribs. But both reactions, and I guess my point, and I want to make a point here. The announcers that were calling the game there, that was the Cardinals, by the way, and the Phillies from St. Louis. They warned both benches. But the reason, and I don't know if you guys have read this, the reason that Cabrera was still in the ball game is because this is where Major League Baseball doesn't get out of their own way. They tricked up this pitching rule, and according to what I've read in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, they would have pulled Cabrera after hitting Harper, except Major League Baseball has a rule that you got to face three batters.
Yeah.
So, thus, Major League Baseball put themselves in the wormhole, and then you wind up tossing your manager. I mean, to me, that is a complete fiasco. That is a real drop. That is Major League Baseball trying to be so cute that they miss the big picture. If they don't have that rule in there, you don't get back-to-back hit. Guys aren't getting hit, and a manager's not getting tossed.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some sub-rules to that rule. I don't mind it from the point of view of, I think it can get a bit tedious. I mean, one thing that it can get a bit tedious, guys coming out to face one batter, I think. But it's, I think in that situation, you're right. I mean, he's drilled Bryce Harper, arguably, one of the faces of baseball in the face. And, I think at that point, if he's lost confidence and if he's lost his way on the mound, then he's come out and hit Didi Gregorius. You can see as well, there's a difference. And one of the things I really dislike strongly is when pitchers hit batters and just kind of walk around as if, oh, well. But, you can clearly see the pitcher's, distressed himself from what's happened. And then, you're putting him in a situation that he probably doesn't want to be in at the time either. And what's happened is he's gone and then drilled former Canberra Cavalry, Didi Gregorius, and
and that's the thing. I mean, and Joe Girardi gets tossed, and I don't know Mike Schilt, the manager of the Cardinals. I don't know him. I don't know much about him. I just know he's been a career baseball guy. But I mean, he's saying, well, I don't want to leave him out there, but I have to because you're telling me I got to. And then Girardi gets tossed because both teams. And see, Girardi's going out there to say, look. He's hit back-to-back batters. Shouldn't he be tossed? Granted, he didn't do it on purpose, but that's the way it usually works. And instead, Major League Baseball has put themselves in such a pigeonhole. You're right. They should probably do something with that. By the way,
there was something. Well, it was a bit of a doozy for. I don't know if you saw it for the umpiring. I think it was in a Brewers game where pitcher got called for interference. There was sort of a routine dribbler down. He kind of just looped it to the first baseman to get the out. The batter was only about halfway down the line, and with no chance he was ever going to make first. There's no chance he's ever going to make it to first. And the pitcher got caught, and he was running off the running line as well. And the pitcher got called for pitcher interference. And I mean, that was probably one of the great fiasco calls of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A couple of things. I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to the books in a moment because we want to wrap that up. But I want to get a couple scatter shooting things. We had a great interview, so we went a little long there. But let me just kind of run through this real quickly here. The week that was, the big thing was Padres-Dodgers. Padres won the series last weekend. That to me was Hey, the Padres are in it. They're right now held a 4-3 advantage in the early season series, telling me that those two teams are going to have a fun summer. But did you get a chance to watch much of that ball game?
Yeah,
And
I watched a lot of that
series?
series. Yeah, I watched a lot of that series. And it was actually funny. The two games in a row, I turned the game on, and Tatis Jr. hit a home run straight away. I mean, he hit that. And he hit that bomb off Trevor Bauer as well. There was that interesting exchange where Bauer was like, hey, look, if a guy's going to hit a ball that far, like, let him celebrate. Like, let's stop this nonsense in baseball where you can't celebrate hitting a home run. So that was a good moment. Boy, he's a player, though, Tatis Jr., isn't he? He's something. He's something special. And and the Padres, I just love that brown kid as well. I love that pinstripe brown kid is amazing. But yeah, like that Dodgers. I mean, and I was gonna say this to you, DV. I mean, what's at this point in the season, what's more interesting, the National League Championship Series or the World Series?
Right now, the National League West, I would think. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Yeah. And I pulled a whole. We want to get to this at some point this summer. But I firmly believe, without going into a lot of detail about it, we need more Tatis. We need more of that because baseball continues to lose traction in North America fan-wise, and it's got the things I tried have not been really that good. But guys like that and the things he's doing, they definitely need that. The Bauer relationship. I'm going to try to give you guys a shot at the ballpark in a moment too. That's what I'm doing here. I want to get to that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, it was such a weekend for that. I mean, there was Tatis Jr. and everything. He did that incredible series. The other day, 2 days ago, I was watching the Blue Jays game against the Nationals where Vladdy Guerrero Jr. hit 3 home runs in a game. And he just looked unstoppable, including a grand slam in that game. And you got these young guys coming through who are all going to be, the future of baseball, and who are all going to be – and the other thing that this is actually Tatis Jr. and Guerrero fall into this category, or not so much Tatis Jr., but there was an interesting stat around sons of Hall of Famers and how no son has ever come and play and had a better career. Well, so statistically had a better career than his Hall of Faming father. But I thought there could have been one or two along the way, but it was interesting. They were just talking about Vlad Guerrero. They're sort of saying like his dad never hit 3 home runs in a game, and the whole conversation come up that quite often a son of a Hall of Famer never really pans out to the levels of dad.
No doubt about it. And by the way, we just signed his cousin, Gabby Guerrero, here in Kansas City last week. So he's a Monarch. So we'll be watching that. The show is Talking Baseball Australia Live. Baseball's best mate, Dan Vaughn, Paul Morgan with you. I'm in Kansas City. He's in Perth. One more thing from that series this weekend, the Sunday night ball game, which you and I were talking on the phone when it was going on. And I didn't even realize this stat. This is a did you know, but we're going to save the music and all that. But it qualifies a did you know. Let me read this to you. In the last 50 seasons, teams trailing by 6 runs or more in the 7th inning or later had a win-loss tally of 100 wins and 13,547 losses. Pretty safe bet. That's a 0.7%. That's less than 1%. Those teams come back. The Padres made it 101 and 13,547 in their win, and they trailed 7-1 in that 7th inning and came back to win it in extras there. That's the did you know stat of the week. How about that one, huh?
Great. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I'd like to have 2 dollars on it. So.
Yes, I'm gonna table the Liam stuff till next week. Some fun stuff with him. Couple things, knee jerks for me this week. Kansas City, Danny Duffy and the Royals rolling right along in first place. Boston, sort of a surprise team as well. They're rolling top of the East. The NL East, I love this division. A game and a half separates the top from the bottom. Yep. You're in the NL East. You're all in it right now. And if you're the Texas Rangers, well, you're playing for next year already. So there you go.
Well, there's a few teams playing for next year already. So it's but maybe that's a smart play. The stadiums will be a bit more bit busier. But we'll get on to the books, TV, because I know that the NFL draft is coming up as well.
Yes, the draft, and I'm going to put the ballpark up right there just to show you guys that for a moment. But they're beautiful. This is Legends Field in Kansas City. give you guys a shot of that and move myself. There we go. There we go. The ballpark there.
Can I ask? Is Legends is it just called Legends Field, or is Legends a brand that sponsors that field?
Legends is actually, if you look where that building is in center field to the right of it. Let me move the camera. That is the Legends Mall complex. It's that stack right there. Legends Mall it's an area of Kansas City, Kansas, and it's called. But the unique thing is that the Monarchs are a legendary name and a legendary brand, and it all just fits. The Field of Legends, Legends Field, and it's all it all fits together. So a shot of Kansas City.
To place you in Kansas City, your ballpark is on one side of Kansas City. The Royals is on one side, but you're close to Arrowhead there, though. Are you not? The home of the Chiefs?
We are right behind us is Kansas Speedway, where the NASCAR is this weekend, and then about 2 blocks down is the Children's Mercy Park, which is where the Sporting KC soccer team plays. The Arrowhead and the Truman Complex, where Kauffman Stadium is about 25 minutes due east of us here on the Missouri side. We're about 2 miles from Missouri on the Kansas side. So basically, the suburbs of Kansas City go south, east, and west, and we're on the south, sort of west side of the Kansas side. So anyway, I will take that off the screen for you guys, and let's go to the books. Now, you and I both had some similar books, so I went back and redid my books first. I'm going to bring Paul's list up. These are Paul's books. I'm going to have to. It's small. I'll put on the screen in a moment. I'll read them for you guys on the screen. But Paul and I had a couple. Similar books. I'm going to read his to you real quickly here. These are Paul. Again, this is our 5 must-read books, we believe, from at least personally. Now, it's not a science, but these are things that you must read or have in your library of baseball books. And this is Paul's list right here. He has the ERA 1947, 1957, when the Yankees, Giants, and Dodgers ruled the world by Roger Kahn. Number 2, Shoeless Joe and Ragtime Baseball by Harvey Fromer. By the way, that would have been on my list, but because Paul had it, I took it off my list. But a very good read about Shoeless Joe and about the history of the Black Sox scandal. Ozzy's the Major by Nicholas Heading also would have been on my list, but I don't want to duplicate it. So Nicholas's fine work, Ozzy's the Major, is a great one. Moneyball by Michael Lewis. And then Full Count, 4 Decades of Blue Jays Baseball by Jeff Blair. And I noticed there, you're a lot like me. You went historical, you went Australian, but you went historical, and you went Blue Jays, your favorite team. Your thoughts on your list of books there? You want to share those thoughts?
I will say that this one, which is the Aussies in the Majors, which I read again over the break and over the weekend. That is a terrific book for anyone. It's about Nicholas Henning. It's a lot of his stories that he has when he visited the States and talked to a lot of guys coming up to the big leagues. That one's a great one. And, of course, your favorite baseball, the great book, this one as well, Shoeless Joe. Really interesting stuff for that. And the other one, the ERA, that is a really interesting book as well. When the Yankees, the Giants and Dodgers ruled the world. Of course, Moneyball as well. I couldn't find the Blue Jays book, but that was just interesting about the history of Toronto. But I think I don't know. I think, and I thought about this, DB. I thought, would it be possible that we started I think we should start a baseball or maybe more broadly a sports book club, and maybe we send out a book and we just have a bit of a separate session than this, and we talk about the book and the life, because so much interesting stuff. But I'm excited to get your list, DV. So bring up your list.
Yeah, let me put this on the screen here. This is on the screen. This is my list here now. Again, I had a couple. I had Nicholas's book and also had the Shoeless Joe. First one on the list is "A Catcher Was a Spy: The Mysterious Life of Mo Berg." It's a great reading. Mo Berg was a backup catcher, but he was also a member of the OSS, eventually, which is now the modern day CIA. He was an original CIA agent during World War II, was a spy in World War II in Europe, and survived, and went on to he's a real interesting character. Seasons in Hell with Billy Martin, Waddy Herzog, and the worst baseball team in history. It's a read about the Texas Rangers 1973 through 75. probably the worst 3 years of baseball that any team has ever been through. The Kansas City Monarchs, I'm reading this one right now, The Champions of Black Baseball by Janet Bruce from the University of Kansas Press. I'm in the middle of that book right now. That book is an interesting read just about the Monarchs brand, about the Monarchs legacy. Baseball Thesaurus, which I believe I've given you a copy of this. The reason I like this is because it's got some little tidbits in there, and it's great for the broadcaster, and it's got some little tidbits in there, and it's more of a resource book. And the Ball 4, I've not read it in a while, but Ball 4 by Jim Bouton is a 1970s book written about the 1970s, his time in the big leagues. And it's got some really, even for folks that don't like baseball, it's got some real inside look at what baseball was like 1970, 71, that stretch right there, really behind the scenes stuff. I will also add.
Of course.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that, and that The Catcher Was a Spy has been turned into a movie as well.
Yes, it was. It's been a movie recently. I've read that book over the years prior to the movie, but yes, it's been a movie about Bo Berg. Two more books that I'm working on. One is called "Only the Ball Was White." It is a book about the Negro Leagues when baseball was segregated, and it's one I've got it, but I haven't opened it yet. I haven't started it yet, and then I got one more book that I want to get to as well. And it's just out. And I've heard good things about it. Let me pull this up here, but it's about World War II, and I love books about World War II in general. And I just dropped the ball here. Here we go. This is and one more. Any kind of reference book you can pull up. There's any kind of baseball reference book that's always good to have. I got a couple of those as well, but let me find that. I just drew a blank here on the name of the book, but give me just a second here. Sorry about that. The Cloudbuster 9. That's it. Cloudbuster 9 is one I've not read yet, but it's the untold story of Ted Williams in World War II. So I've got that one on my shelf as well. Wendy, I'll give you those in a moment, but I recommend any baseball fan, no matter where you're from, a book about your favorite team, whether it be good or bad, a book about either Australian baseball or a different angle, a book historical, about especially World War II or World War I, a book about the Negro Leagues would be important, and some kind of reference book, whether it be a thesaurus or just a baseball handbook. One more book that I read a lot is the baseball, the Australian baseball reference book as well. It's the what is that? I'm talking about, Paul. Yeah. Yes, that one. That's a good one too. But I'll post these up.
Coming soon. The Fiasco Flask, a story of Australian baseball from our lenses, which would be hands down one of the most entertaining books. An unbelievable book. Yeah, no doubt.
I will post those, Wendy, on our Facebook page tomorrow morning and get those for you. But those are 10 recommendations. But yeah, the Fiasco Flask, the story of our time in baseball and the ABL.
Netflix.
No doubt about it.
I tell you that can't be anything. But I've got a DV. I must leave you. I've got to run and drop the kid off at school. Friday is here, so. Appreciate it. Thanks so much to Brendan and Ilya as well, and good luck to the Cavalry. Thanks, everyone, and I'll leave you to wrap it up, DV.
All right, mate. There he goes, Paul Morgan, as he's taking the kiddos to school. The greatness of the great man Paul Morgan there. I'm glad you guys stopped by. We're going to step away now. We didn't get to a lot of things, but I'll pull the curtain back. I wasn't sure the guys I knew Paul lined the interview up, but I hadn't actually heard. This is one of those cases where the time difference kind of, I wasn't sure. And so I had two different shows planned. So I had some things planned in case they didn't join us, and they did. So I appreciate them. Congratulations to Brendan and Ilya for their license and those cameras as well, those camera calves. Looking forward to seeing them in the ACT next year. We'll be there at some point. And again, we'll be back here next Thursday, right here, same time, same place, 7 a.m. in the West, 6 p.m. Thursday night in North America, here on Baseball's Best Mate. I had a couple of things, and I'll save it till next week. I had a really good thing on Liam, and I also want to talk a bit about next week. I'm going to tease this now. but I did a little research on the splitter. The pitch, the splitter. And it's become pretty big topic right now because right now Shania Ohtani has no one has hit his splitter yet. So we're going to talk about the splitter a bit next week on a Did You Know on Talking Baseball Australia Live. Also, next Wednesday, if you're out and about or want to stop by later, catch Monarchs Live with the Kansas City Monarchs. It should be your favorite North American team. Those Kansas City Monarchs will be coming your way next week as probably right here at the ballpark. But the show is Monarchs Live. We give you an update on the American Association and the Kansas City Monarchs, and we do it on Facebook Live on the Kansas City Monarchs Facebook page. Big thanks to you folks that joined us here. I appreciate it. Stopping by for 1 minute or for the entire time. Hit the like button, and when we're on, they'll tell you, hey, I want to know when these guys are on. It'll tell you. Notify me when these guys are on here at Talking Baseball Australia Live, baseball's best mate. Actually, it's Talking Baseball Australia, baseball's best mate. I'm Dan Duvall. My broadcast partner is Paul Morgan. I say it every time. Two things. First off, you guys are the best. I really believe that. Your passion for the game in Australia, the passion for the game, it's contagious. Much love to you. And, of course, it's been a crazy year. And I say it every time, virtual hugs. Let's be better tomorrow than we were today. Better fans, better friends, neighbors, countrymen, whatever. Just keep getting better and show much love as we go forward, all right? We'll see you guys next week, and it's time for the NFL Draft in North America and time for dinner for me. Have a great rest of your Friday in Australia. Have a great Thursday night in North America. Much love to you. We'll see you all next week. Got to close that, roll that close now. Here we go. Roll it in 3, 2, 1. See you all next week, everybody.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for its roots.